For this video, we are back in Moho, and we're going to create a character from start to finish using the Draw and Fill tools. To begin, we want to make sure we have a vector layer ready to go for drawing, and for this example, we're going to import a reference. And we can import a reference a couple different ways. There is the option to import what's called a tracing image, which places a slightly transparent version of that image on the background, which you can use then to trace with. But I prefer to import images through general import and use them as layers, so that way we can turn them on and off if we wish, and precisely adjust the transparency to our liking. So we're going to use Ctrl-Shift-Y to do a general import, and I'm going to grab the Kusi reference from the list. Here, we now have an image on our layers, and I'm going to grab the Transform Layer tool and just shrink this down so that it's within the canvas size. So about like that. Now to add that transparency effect, we can just double-click on the layer, come over here to Opacity, and let's bring this down to about 35%. And you can see the change occurring in real time on the canvas. So once we're good, we can click OK. And let's also set up a swatch for this character, since we're going to be copying the character or referencing the character, using the colors also makes sense. From the swatches drop-down menu, come down and choose Custom Image. From here, we want to locate the Kusi swatch PNG. Just double-click, and now we have access to the colors for this character. Now, with the reference and swatch set up, we can come down here to the bottom where that layer 1 vector is and get started. We'll start at the top with the head and work our way down. So, coming in here, we have to kind of imagine the shape of the head since the hair is covering up the top portion. So I think the best thing to do here is use an oval. So coming over here to the Draw Shape tool, I'm going to access Autofill and Auto Stroke, and we'll choose the oval from the list. Now, with the Style panel, click and drag with the eyedropper over to the character's face on the swatch and release. The stroke line is set to black, which is fine, and we'll leave the width at 4. And for right now, we'll just keep the brush at no brush. We can change that if we wish, but for this example, I think we'll just go with some clean-looking vector lines. Now, starting near the top left, we're just going to click and drag and move down to create an oval, just like this. Now you can try to match the shape as much as you can, but once you are good, we can release and then make some changes to the shape. First, with the Transform Points tool, I'm going to come in here and just move this point down slightly like this. And we can create a second point, or a fifth point in this case for the oval, and click once and come in and just bring that out a little bit more. And if we need to, we can use the curvature tool to make some corrections if needed. But that should closely emulate the shape of the face. And as you can see, I've drawn the top of the head even though I can't see it, and we will just use that as the boundary as it makes sense for how the original design looks. So now, we're going to go in and continue building up the head by drawing in some ears. As you can see, we do have 2 ears displayed on the original. And we could use separate layers to create the ears, but here, I'm just going to keep going off of the same shape, and we're going to grab the Draw Shape tool once again, and we'll click and drag down like this to create the ear for the front ear, and then we have one more back here. We're just going to click and drag to create that back ear and release. Now using the Transform Points tool, it's going to come in here and make some changes. Perhaps grab the curvature tool, so that way we can go in and fine-tune these points a little bit further, just like that. Now, we're going to select this new shape for the front ear, and at the top, we can use the liquid shape options to select Add. This will now remove that boundary we have for the ear, We could go in and hide the edge if we wanted to, but this works just as well and is actually a little bit quicker to pull off. And then for the second ear, let's make sure we use the Select Shape tool to click once on it. And then holding an Alt, let's use the down arrow key to move this shape down so that it's below the head. So if we hide this, you can see how this is going to play out. And if we preview it, you can see that that line is hidden. So continuing on here, we're just going to go in using the Add Point tool, add a couple points to the top and bottom, and we're just going to bring this in a little bit more to closely resemble the original artwork. There we go. There are some other things we can add to the head as well. For instance, the nose is pretty simple, so it probably doesn't need to be on its own layer. So with this layer still selected, we can use either the Add Point or the Freehand tool. I'll just use the Freehand tool, and coming into my options, I'll make sure that the variable line width is set to none, and I'll put smoothing up all the way just to keep those nice smooth corners. And then coming in here, I'm just going to click and drag to mimic the line work of the nose, just like that. I can also come in with the Transform Points tool if I feel it's needed to make some adjustments here. We probably don't need 2 points like that right there, so we can come up like this. Maybe remove that point like that. There we are. And then we have the freckles right here as well. So using the Draw Shape tool, I'm going to turn off Auto Stroke, and I believe the freckles are black. So we're just going to go to Fill Color and choose black, and then come in and add in those 2 little freckles, just like that. Now, we're going to come over to the Layers panel, and let's click once on Layer 1 and change it to Head, and hit Enter. And we can now create a new second layer, make this a vector, and we'll name this one I Right, and then hit Enter. Using the Draw Shape tool once again, but this time I'll choose Auto Stroke. I can come over here and choose the fill color, and we could use the swatch, but in this case, the eyeball is white. So we're just going to make sure it's set to white, and then hit OK. And we're going to come in now and draw the right eye. So let's click and drag, come down and make a nice little oval like that. And using the Transform Points tool, we can come in and just shore up some of these different points, perhaps use the Curvature tool if we feel it's necessary. There we go. Now, let's demonstrate how we can duplicate layers. Right here we have right eye, but if we want to create the left eye using similar parameters, we can come over here and duplicate the right eye and then make this one the left eye. And then using the Transform Layer tool, just click and drag and move this layer over to where we want it to be. And then taking the Transform Points tool, we can come in and set this up closer to how the original artwork was intended. Now we can do some pupils. So I'll make a new vector. We can name this first one Pupil Right. And we'll make an oval for this. Fill it in with black. Come in, click and drag, and release. And we might as well just duplicate this one as well. So we'll use Pupil Left, hit Enter as the name, and then using the Transform Layer tool, we can bring this over and come in and maybe shrink this up a bit using our Transform Points tool. We have eyebrows as well, and we're going to do 2 separate layers for the eyebrows. Since we did 2 separate layers for the pupils and the eyeballs, we're just going to stick with that formula. So make a new vector. I can name this one Eyebrow Right. And I'll use the Freehand tool once again we'll just come over here and we'll make sure autofill is turned off. Just click and drag and go over like so and release. And then we'll make another vector and name this one eyebrow left, and then come in and just draw out a second eyebrow like that. And of course, we could go in and make any changes we feel are necessary to this. Probably don't need that extra point right there. The curvature could probably be adjusted a little bit. Same for the first eyebrow. I feel the curvature could be a little bit off. Just come in and adjust some of this. Kind of like that. There we go. And we have a mouth. We could make a switch with multiple mouth poses, but for right now, we're just going to make a simple mouth. I'll label this one mouth. And coming over here, we can use the freehand tool once again. And just come up like that. Then we have the hair. So we're going to have two different elements for the hair, the front and the back, because as you can see with the original artwork, we have some hair overlapping the front of the face, and then some that hangs down the back. So we'll start with that front portion first. And I'm also going to come over here and just rearrange the layers a little bit. Let's place the mouth just above the head, and everything else should be fine as it is right now. I'm going to make a new vector so that it's at the top of the vector list, and we can name this one top hair. So for the hair, let's use the blob brush tool. And we'll set the radius down to, let's say, 0.05. And we want to make sure we have fill and stroke enabled, as well as have the fill color set to the hair color for our character. And I'm just going to come in here and try to mold this out really quick. So we'll start and come down like this, and just sort of create the shape here for the hair. So something like that. And now we can take the transform points tool and just bring this in a little bit. Perhaps clean up some of the points as well as we're doing this. And then maybe we can continue to work with the line work here. I'm just going to remove multi-stroke fill from this, and we can just add in a little line like that, as well as right here and right here. Again, just to kind of add more authenticity to the original artwork. So with the top hair in place, we can now focus on the back hair really quick. So coming over here to your layers, we'll make a new vector, and we're going to put this under the head and name it back hair. And then we're going to grab the add point tool, come over here, and we can start adding in our points to create the shape for the hair. There we are. And then we can move in and complete the shape like that. We can grab the Create Shape tool, come in here, and then just choose to create shape. And now we have the hair in place, just as it looked with the original artwork. We're now going to focus on the body. So we're going to come over here and let's group all the layers we have so far into a head group. So we'll click on back hair, hold and shift, click on top hair, right click and choose group with selection. And this new group can then be labeled head. So now we've gone in and grouped all of the head elements. And the next step is to add some body elements. Now, I believe the original artwork had the legs and body on one layer, so we're going to try to do something similar to that. Coming in here, I'll make a new vector, and we can name this one body. We're going to start at the top where the neck is and work our way down using the add point tool. So we'll start right here, click and drag, add points for the neck. And I'm actually going to avoid doing anything with the arms. So we're just going to use this strap outline as the border. Moving down like this. We're just going to keep adding points, and we'll even do so here. We'll add points up to the shoes, and then we can come back and just finish up here. By adding your points going up. And then come over like this, move up, and complete. We can now use the curvature tool to come in and refine further. And now we can do the details for the clothes. So we'll start here and we'll add in the boundary for the shirt. We can do the straps. Just like that. And then come over and add a line for the shirt like this. And then we have line work down here separating the overalls with the yellow part of the shirt. So we'll make sure we account for that as well. And then we can do the little line going out like this just to adhere to the line work. So now we need to go through and break down each shape and fill them in. We'll start with the neck. I'll click on the Create Shape tool. And let's make sure we have the appropriate fill color selected for this. Coming in, I'm just going to select the entire shape for the neck. So any point pertaining to the neck. So go to here and then come down and around like this. And then we have one more point like that. And once we do that, you can see we now have the ability to create the shape. So we'll click that button and we now have the shape created. We can move down and do the left strap. So just like this, let's make sure the fill color is that of the overalls, and then click on Create Shape. And we'll do the same now for this other strap. And if you're having issues selecting your points, you can always use lasso mode, which will allow you to lasso around the points as opposed to using a rectangular selection. So from here, we're going to want to color the overalls. So I'm going to select these points just like that. Come down, make sure we have those selected, and these. Just like that. And then we can create that shape. And then we have the yellow pieces. So we can come in here, lasso around this little chunk like that. Using the fill option, let's select that yellow shirt color, create shape, and then we can lasso around this portion right here to create that shape. And now the body is looking pretty good. And if we hide the reference, we can see what this looks like. Let's place the head above the body. So that way the neck is behind the head. Now you'll notice we also have an issue now with the back hair, which means we'll need to go into the head group and move the back hair behind the body. which isn't a big deal, but it is something to note as we continue along here. So we can finish up by doing the arms and feet. Let's come over here now to the body once again, and I will make a new vector. We can name this one arm right. And let's bring back our reference here. Coming in with this particular shape, we could use either the freehand tool or the add point tool. In this case, I'm just going to go with the add point tool, and I'll start near the top here and just start to work my way down, shaping the sleeve like this. And we're going to go up all the way to create this shape. So just up like this and then create the shape. I can use the curvature tool here in some spots just to make sure that things are closer to the original line work. So something like that. And we're just going to click on the Create Shape tool, select all, and then choose to create the shape. Now the original work has a little bit of a gap with the line work here, and the line work isn't solid all the way throughout. If I hide this arm, you can see that's apparent right here. So I'm just going to come back here to that arm and then use the Hide Edge tool and click once right here just to hide that edge to mimic the original artwork. And then we have the arm itself. So we're just going to keep going here, coming in, starting with the sleeve. I'm just going to click and then drag to create a line like this. And we can go up and around. Now I'm just going to do the hands on one layer. You may want to do multiple layers for the hands if you want to swap them in and out as an example. But here, we're just going to do something simple and keep it all on one layer. So we can come up like this and complete. Now I can move in here and using the curvature tool, we can try to shore up some of this line work here. Just making the bends a little bit more coherent. So something like that should work. And it's not exactly how it was with the original, but it should be close enough. Except for that line work right there for the arm. Let's actually bring that over like that. There we go. Now, we're going to select this portion of the arm using the Create Shape tool. Just come in and drag around, grab the eyedropper, and then choose, let's just say, the face or the arm, and then we can choose to create shape. So there you have the right arm. Now let's move to the left. Coming over here to the left arm, we're just going to follow a very similar procedure to that of the right. Let's come down here and add a new vector, and we'll name this one arm left. And then I'll grab the add point tool, or let's actually do the freehand tool in this case, so that way you can see two different ways to draw the arms. And we'll start at the top and just click and drag and work our way down like so. And I don't have autofill turned on for this particular part. I'm just going to leave that as is. So once we have the sleeve, we can come in here and let's just create the shape really quick, making sure that we have the right fill color, and then we can create shape. Now we're just going to move down and do the same thing. We'll do the freehand tool once again, just click and drag and start to add in our lines. So there's one. Kind of just straighten this out really quick here. There we are. Here's the thumb. And then we'll do the fingers. There we are. Just try to make sure everything is lining up. There we go. I'm also going to just add a couple of points here just to help out any animation that might be added to this. Because As you bend the arm, you're probably going to want some more points in between there. So we'll just go in and do that. Then we can make some more corrections if we want. Again, if we just want to match that original line work, we can come in here and try to make that work here as best as we can. And then we can grab the Create Shape tool, select those arm points, make sure that we have the fill color set to the arm or face, and then we can click Create Shape. And we now have this going on, looking pretty good. And perhaps we can add a little bit of line work right here. Again, just to help with the authenticity of the original work. So now we're going to focus on the feet. We'll start with the right foot. I have made a new vector for this, foot R, and we can just come down and continue to draw. Using the freehand tool, I'm just going to come in here, start drawing some stuff out. And now I can create some shapes here. Come in here and we'll select this shape. And using the fill dropper here, make sure we select the right color, create the shape. And then we have the skin. So just come in here and select all that. Make sure we have the right color. And then create the shape. And then we have some white shoes. So come in, fill color is set to white, and then we can create the shape. And then of course from there we can go in and adjust the shape of this even more if we wish. Maybe come in and lower that a little bit. And then we have the other foot. So here, I'm actually just going to duplicate foot right and make this one foot left. We can bring it over here. And then I'm just going to modify the points. There we go. And here with our curvature tool. So taking a look at the original reference, if we bring this back, you can see that we have a blue piece of cloth on the hair that extends down to the back. So let's add that into ours really quick. We can come over here and let's first go into the head and click on top hair. And for this, we can probably just draw the shape in. So starting at this point, I can come in and just draw the shape going down like so. And my line works slightly different than the originals, and that's okay. And we can create a shape here for this piece. I'm just going to come in here and select the points that make up this piece, just like that. And we want to make sure we have the right fill color selected. We can come in and create the shape. And from here, I'd probably want to also go in and do some curvature work, just to fine-tune things, make sure it's looking the way I want it to look. So maybe go in and go something like that. And then we have the piece on the bottom as well. Now we could do the same thing where we add in the color just through some line work, but let's go ahead and do some liquid shapes with this. We'll come over here and click on the back hair, and we're just going to grab the Add Point tool. And I can start out here and just draw a shape down like this to go along with the hair. And then we can just kind of bring it up like so. Pass that line work about like that. And then come in. So now I'm going to click on that shape using the Create Shape tool. And we're just going to once again hit Create Shape using those parameters. Now I'm going to click once on that new shape and then choose the clip option. And that way, it'll now look like it's being masked in. So now it's being clipped into that layer, and we don't have anything showing up on the outside, which again is a nice and quick way to set up some designs inside of Moho. And we do have that other little clip right there, but I'll let you put that in, assuming you're following along up to this point. So there we go. That is drawing a character inside of Moho. We have everything set up now. It's just a matter of converting this over to a bone layer and rigging it up.